Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to 2CTV with some breaking news coming from Paris, the capital of France. The French government has officially collapsed. The lawmakers and MPs in the National Assembly have passed the motion of no confidence in the government, and Michel Barnier, the Prime Minister, will have to resign. We've already received an update from President Macron that he will be keeping him as caretaker Prime Minister until they find a new leader. It's been completely chaotic over the last couple of hours. Protests, strikes, mayhem across France led to a completely unstable political atmosphere. The budget of the country resulted in a mess, and now the national debt is increasing, the deficit is widening, and the government doesn't know what to do. And of course, the whole of the political class in France seem to be a little bit confused about how to bring back some sort of unity. Now, this means that we are going to be having a push for an election eventually, and now obviously Macron himself will still be in power for a while until the next presidential election, but this is completely chaotic. The whole country is in turmoil. These are the leaders of the European Union, which means France being in this chaotic situation doesn't really help the European project. Of course, their partner, Germany, have their own issues, but obviously this is going to be making things harder for the liberal globalists. Emmanuel Macron wouldn't know exactly how to fix this, because Michel Barnier was supposed to be essentially the lifeline of the political establishment. He was supposed to be saving Macron and the whole of the Fifth Republic, but it doesn't seem to be going that way. Now let's talk about the actual vote that we just had. The vote of no confidence in the French government has been concluded, and the motion has been passed by 331 votes. Now this is absolutely huge. This is important because what we had was left-wing parties and right-wing parties. Both sides became united to vote against the establishment figure Michel Barnier and his cabinet. Obviously, Emmanuel Macron sent a warning to the MPs who oppose each other normally. Of course, you had Marine Le Pen, the National Rally, but also the left, who did work together for now. Macron sent a message saying that don't get too excited, because you're going to end up basically dividing your own cause as well, because at the end of the day, the left and the right are going to be fighting amongst each other. But for now, the priority was to send a message that we do not support this approach to politics, this approach to governance, and most importantly, the budget. Now, Michel Barnier's budget was becoming very, very difficult to sell because he was going to be, in a very radical way, trying to find a solution to bring down the deficit and to 5% of the GDP, and obviously to make sure that there is some tax increases, but also budget cuts, spending cuts. So it was a lose-lose situation, because he was basically angering the political right by raising taxes. He was angering the political left by cutting government spending, and he wasn't actually sure that, despite what he was saying publicly, none of them were sure that this was actually going to be helping the national debt and the deficit situation. This was a generic, statist, middle-of-the-road government that you have, basically a liberal globalist approach to politics, saying, well, we've been told we have to raise taxes and cut government spending, and it's just going to work out. So that's why the political left and the political right decided to make a move. But this was also, it goes beyond the budget itself, because this was simply also about the fact that they weren't really happy about the result of the election, the parliamentary election that we had recently. It wasn't really bringing any sort of unity. Marine Le Pen and the National Rally did quite well when it comes to the popular vote. They didn't get enough seats. They actually became the third party. But that's just going to create more momentum for National Rally. Now, let's not forget that 331 votes, all they needed was 288. So that is a massive majority for this no confidence motion, which again, at the end of the day, goes back to the fact that the judgment coming from President Macron once again seems to be incorrect. He thought, as I said, Barnier would be the last hope, the savior. a boring figure who is also a little bit dodgy. Let's not forget, for those who don't know Michel Barnier, Barnier was the former Brexit negotiator for the European Union. He messed that up eventually, but also he was in the previous Republican French government a decade ago or so, and he was the man who gave the green light to the labs, the dodgy labs in Wuhan, in China. You know, everyone now knows about the Wuhan labs and what happened there in 2019. And before that, obviously, the number of international names who were behind it. One of them was Anthony Fauci in the United States, who was basically in charge of advising the lockdown rules to the US government. And also Michel Barnier in France. He signed it. He gave the green light and the funding to the Wuhan lab. And clearly, this was a lot of the foreign governments trying to do experimental nonsense that they couldn't do in their own countries. So they had to do it in Wuhan. And look what it turned out. I'm not directly saying that the experiment that was approved by Barnier resulted in the China virus, but a lot was happening. Now, let's get some reaction while we wait for more updates about what's going on in the National Assembly. Ivan says the great EU experiment is falling apart. Yep, there's no unity anywhere. Is Rachel Thieves the French economist? Yes. We do have a quick update for you guys. So we have Macron is now deciding on the timeline of the outgoing Prime Minister. He will be the caretaker leader for now, but I don't think anybody is going to be seeing this government as legitimate anymore, and they have to now all go away. So it's going to be a rough few days and weeks for the French government, for the French political establishment. Vinnie King says, Danielle, it was lovely to meet you at the live audience event in September. However, I seem to have developed a weird man crush on your fiance. Expect the handbags at dawn. I think I need help. Thank you, Vinnie. Vinnie is also the guy who invented the 2CTV flag. So you might have seen the 2CTV flag at the last United Kingdom rally with the bulldog, as you can see in his profile picture. Thank you, Vinny. Oh my God, Sparrow says 96. Merry Christmas. Yes, we don't do happy holidays on this channel. We do Merry Christmas. Anyway, Jan says everywhere the wokes are falling. Yeah, it's essentially the liberal globalist statists who are falling apart. Tusi is probably paid by Iran to stir up trouble. That is actually a good conspiracy theory, because usually I get called that I get paid by Mossad in Israel, or basically I don't know who else. That wouldn't really work because it will be so obvious, because I'm pro-Israel obviously, and but the best one would be double bluff. You know, I criticize the Iranian regime, but actually I'm funded by Iran. You think I'm against the Iranian regime, but what I'm doing is, while I'm criticizing them, I'm secretly feeding the opposite information to your brains. So suddenly you're going to be in favor of the Iranian regime. That's a fair conspiracy theory. Thank you so much for being creative. I really appreciate when the uneducated nutters are creative. Now, what else do we have? Cindy says, Maya's okay. You obviously haven't taken time to find out about his loyalty and love for Britain. Yes. God bless Britannia. She says, happy holidays include everyone. Everyone could have their own holidays. We've got Hanukkah, we've got Ramadan, we've got Christmas. So obviously if you want to talk about Hanukkah, you say Happy Hanukkah. If you want to say Christmas, you say Merry Christmas. That's what we do. You don't bring them all together with Ramadan, and I don't know what the Buddhists do. I'm sure they do something. Do they have one? I'm sure they have it. Anyway. Marvin says, if it's not Trump or Putin, we will blame it on Maya. That is a good approach. Usually it's my fault these days, if anything happens. Keith says, Maya, you're making my head hurt. Well, take a painkiller. I don't know. What do I do? You shouldn't generalize all Muslims. We're not talking about Muslims in this video. We're talking about the French. I know Paris is now basically dominated by the Islamic population, but we're not talking about Muslims. Also, why would we generalize all Muslims? What's the point? The problem we have is with the ideology of Islam. 3,100 people watching. Please like. Exactly. Listen to this person. Very wise, very smart. I live in France. I would like to see Bardella as prime minister, a leader. In fact, well, we're gonna have to wait for a while for the actual presidential election if you want as president. But yeah, it's there's going to be a lot of discussions around the change in the political matrix in France, because actually, depending on how Macron plays this, it could backfire on both the left and the right. Because that's kind of what happened in the recent parliamentary elections anyway. And when it comes to the National Rally, it is important to say that they are trying their best to ban Le Pen from running. Now, the president of the National Rally, obviously Jordan Bardella, is a possibility. You know, he's young, he's charismatic, but I think the issue for National Rally is Le Pen has been around for a while, and she's actually done a great job in terms of bringing up the National Rally. But the branding is so Le Pen in a good way that if she leaves, there'll be a vacuum. Now, obviously, yeah, you got Jordan and others, the good names coming up. We get it. But there's the same problem that I always say for those who understand football. Manchester United, when Alex Ferguson left as manager after decades of success, everybody was like, oh, what do we do? Queen Elizabeth II, I could say the same about the role of her as the protector of the crown, as queen. Everything seems to be all over the place, because when one person becomes, when a group becomes dependent on one name, one brand, one person, it becomes quite difficult. So I think that's the fear I have when it comes to Le Pen. If Le Pen can't stand or leaves or dies or whatever happens, God forbid, it might make it harder for the National Rally to rally the troops again. Jay says, when was the last time you were in France, Maya? It was 2 weeks ago. No, it wasn't. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago? I don't know. You guys tell me. Those who watch the channel. When was it? When was I in France? 3 weeks ago? I think it was 3 weeks ago. Yeah. 3 weeks ago. Yes. Laurie says, hi Maya. Sorry about what you're going through. Engagement. Not sure about all the France issues and even South Korea that happened the other night. It's just a mess. The whole world is falling apart. It's not good, is it? We will talk about South Korea. We have an update on this, obviously. You're crazy, 2C. What gives a tiny little brown turd the right to be racist? I'm not racist. You fool. Trust me, you are one of the hated. That is not good English. That is not really a good sentence. If you want to troll, copy and paste your comment to ChatGPT. It will do a proofread for you. It's not difficult. But no, I don't really care about skin color or race. I care about cultural values and your attitude and your ideologies. Anyway, what else? Do we have more trolls? Come on, come at me. Natalie says, you will never be a good person if you think you have to change the rest of us. Is that me? I don't do that. Do I try to change you guys? If I try to change you guys, don't listen to me. Don't change. Stay where you are. Come on, trolls. I've got to have some fun. It's been a stressful week already. It's only Wednesday. This person said Muhammad was a great man. You don't know him. You didn't meet him. He wasn't. He hasn't been around for centuries. You don't know who he was. You just Muhammad. Although we don't know which Muhammad he's talking about. There's billions of Muhammads. So where's the other one? Here in the state, we call it French toast, but do people in France call it sincerity in France? So it isn't the same with the French fries. Stop Animal Cruelty says, stop it. Well, just stop it, just in general. Why? Oh, I just realized a very, very important think is about to happen in 15 minutes. Speaking of Man United, we're playing against Arsenal. I know I'm here to talk about France, but France is falling apart, so it's fine. Well, we got better things to focus on right now. I will obviously keep you guys posted on the reaction and how Macron is going to find a way to bring back some sort of harmony into the political class. It's going to be very hard for the president to actually do this, because it wasn't really just a vote of no confidence in Barnier. It was also, and indirectly, a vote of no confidence in Emmanuel Macron and the rest of the cabal. So that is the main thing to remember when you're considering this story. Anyway, we're going to come back shortly at 8:30 p.m. UK time. We're going to have a short video reaction to what I said last night during our live report about South Korea, where I mentioned that the president had imposed the martial arts instead of martial law. We will address that problem. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya TC, and we are the media.